Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience, and thank you for waiting for today's Wednesdays with William. We have had a very fun 15 minutes trying to get everything sorted out, but we are now here with you. And so we're doing everything just a little bit different today, which I love because we have one of my very, very favorite women in the entire world with me today. So we're just going to jump right in, start talking to the one and the only Miss Susie McCarty. So Susie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, William. We made it. It was not easy, but here we are.
Oh, well, we did though, but you look beautiful, Susie. You really do, and it's so nice for you to be here. I've been looking forward to this for so long. This is my 25th Wednesdays with William, and when I first started thinking about doing this show, you were one of the very first people I thought I wanted to have, so I can't believe we're finally getting to do this. So thank you so much.
Well, I'm excited because you've had all this experience, and I'm going to benefit from it.
Well, you're going to Zoom now every day because you look lovely and it's great. Susie, before we get talking a little bit about you, I want to talk about me for a minute. Well, not me, but do you remember when I first met you?
Of course.
You do? All right, because I know exactly when I met and what had happened, and I want to share with you, and you probably remember. I've never told this story to any of my audience or any of the people that I know, because I'm asked often how I actually got started in the industry, and I always say, well, it was Susie McCarty in Salt Lake City. But the way it actually happened is I came down to McCarty's. This is when you were in the Hilton, and of course I was terrified at the thought of meeting the Susie McCarty. And I remember I came in with my book. You remember the 11 by 14 books? And I had some very mediocre pictures. And I remember you looking at your desk on an open call. We sat across the desk from each other and you were looking at it. I don't know that you were overly impressed. You were kind of going through it. And the phone rang, and it was Utah Holiday Magazine. And they called and said, Susie, your male model didn't show up. You know, what are you going to do? And I remember it's like it was yesterday. You looked at me and said, well, you know what, kid, this is your lucky day. And actually, I have a photo of that, if Daniel, if you will. I just wanted to show. So I ran right there immediately to the Utah Holiday, wherever they were shooting this. And this was the photo. I think Daniel's going to pull it up for you because we had that. And I just had a couple of pictures I wanted to share with you, and then we'll get started.
Give me 1 second. Zoom is being a difficult beast today. So 1 second there, William.
Oh, okay, understandable. Well, it happens, right? But we're all hanging out. Everything's fine. I don't think anybody's on an incredible timeline, so it's okay, Daniel. But it was a wonderful, wonderful story. It was probably back in, I don't know, Susie. When did you start the agency?
Well, I actually started in 1974 up at McCarty's Cafe. It was a beer joint and food, and it was an Immigration Canyon. And I decided I wanted to make $200 of my own money, although I was doing pretty good on tips in those little mini skirts, right? And but anyway, started getting talent for TV commercials in '74.
All right, because this probably would have been, I think it was probably 80, maybe something like that, 80, 81, 82, something. When did you start the Hilton shows?
Oh, well, soon after I moved into the Hilton, because we were there for 13 years, and it seems like it was almost 13 years we were doing the cabaret shows twice a week.
Yeah, oh, every Tuesday and Thursday, right? And then we did the Monday night show.
And then right, it was crazy. I can't tell you how many fashion shows I do every week. And then to come in and do the cabaret show, that was great. I loved it. It was fun. And I remember you so well. And the dancers in that show, I mean, you're as good as anybody anywhere. And it was, 13 years, that's a long time.
Oh, it was. And it was so wonderful that was really the only outlet for professional dancing other than the ballet company. You know, I left the ballet company. I thought,
well, and not only that, but the only outlet for really sexy, fabulous, in good taste with the models and the fashion, you know, and lingerie and swimwear, and we're in Salt Lake City, Utah. Think about that.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, it was ahead of its time, no doubt. Well, anyway, Daniel's gonna find these pictures. So as soon as he does, I want to show you some blasts from the past. But you were raised on a farm, Susie. I know people want to know a little bit more about you. Tell me about your upbringing on a farm in Utah.
Listen, I've made full circle here at my home, and being probably 80% retired, I've gone back to being a farm girl. And that's where my heart and my love and my joy, because of the animals, I have created in the city, right in the city, a backyard that are full of all kinds of critters, some of which I should not mention, but I'll tell you, it is wonderful. And I'm in the dirt and I'm digging bare feet, dirt under my fingernails, planting my gorgeous flowers, and under the circumstances, it's been a lifesaver this last year and a half.
And that's really what helped get you get through this, right? I mean, this whole, speaking of last year and a half, is just your farm. I mean, your backyard, your flowers, your animals.
And I, nothing, you know, because what they called them slopping. I slopped pigs. I gathered eggs. I fed bunnies. I let the calves suck on my fingers because they had no teeth, and they'd bring all the blood to the end of my fingers, and I'd have to pull it out. I mean, and watching animals being born and everything, and raising our own food during World War II, it was a really incredible experience that has stayed with me my whole life.
Oh, of course. And then from there, though, you stayed, so this was in Utah, and then you went to the University of Utah?
I went to the University of Utah, where still a very farm mentality, and I met Lee Grosscup, who was All-American with University of Utah, and he was drafted by the New York Giants. And we got married and moved to New York City, and that totally changed my whole life. Although I did modeling before then. My first fashion show was with Keith O'Brien. My grandmother worked in ready to wear, and they were having a Simplicity Patterns show. And she asked me if I wanted to model. And there was this crazy, wild guy that was in display at Keith O'Brien's, who sort of became my mentor with fashion shows, and that was the beginning.
Wow, how old were you when you did your first show then? Is this in college?
15.
Oh, 15.
Yeah, it was oh, you mean producing a show? Or
no, just being in one when you modeled.
That was the one at Keith O'Brien's when I was 15.
Oh, I remember that store too. That is amazing. Hey, Daniel, do you have those pictures?
They are not. I'm going to have to actually, in order, Zoom has been an interesting thing, and it has stopped my ability to share. So unfortunately, if I share, I have to end the meeting and then restart it. I know it's crazy. I'm going to try one thing though, William. If for some reason we all get cut off, I'm going to make you the host right this minute. All right. And we can edit this out for a little bit later. I'm going to change the host to you, and hopefully you guys can keep talking and I'll log back on. For some reason, it stops, then we just have to log back on again, but we'll get started here in just a second. Okay. Zoom is doing some interesting things, but hopefully we'll see what happens. I think it's going to let you two keep talking. So I'll be right back.
Thank you, Daniel. Isn't that funny? Well, gosh. But then you did come back to Utah.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, then you did come back to Utah, right? So you and Lee came back.
I came back to Utah, and Lee and I broke up, but always remained great friends, and he's a wonderful father to my children. And I met Ray McCarty, and we moved to Las Vegas. So then I was in Las Vegas. And actually with Ray, I spent a lot of time in Santa Monica and Malibu, which was so beautiful, left big impressions. And and exposed to things that I would have never been exposed to. Yeah, been good, great life. Yeah.
And then you came back. So how did you, hey, Daniel, are you joining us?
I am. I just want to let you know that I can pop up some of those pictures if we want to go back to some. So I just want to make sure that you knew that I was here.
I'd love to. Yeah, let's go ahead. I'd love to show those because I've got some great pictures, and we'll come back.
Let's do this.
Thank you. Oh, well, so Susie, on our official show, I was introduce you and say, here's the beautiful Susie McCarty.
That was another life for sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I did
feel-
tons of things for Utah Holiday.
So that was
Lots
that
of
was
them.
the very day that I came in to see you, and here I am, the back of my head on the cover. But that's what you sent me to.
I see you there with Utah
But the
Holiday.
thing that was beautiful about that is there was no pay involved for that. But you said, if you do this for me.
But the thing that was so fabulous about Utah Holiday is that I did all their fashion layouts. I did the covers, and just about every issue they'd have a big fashion layout.
Oh,
And it really gave us, people started noticing, and we're in Salt Lake City, and we had Wilhelmina, and we had Eileen Ford, and we had the fellow from Elite all come to Salt Lake and scout models. And we were about fifth in the nation doing newspaper advertising. And we were not only, our biggest client was CCMI, and with the modeling business, being in a hotel, doing, lingerie and swimwear and
Right.
all that. But ZCMI was an incredible client.
well, that
And
was
in fact, my first two clients were ZCMI and Grizzly Adams, because remember, half of the agency is actors.
right. Of course, you're a talent agent. So this was but that's what I was saying. But I remember I went to there, and you said, well, thanks for doing the Utah Holiday. But because of that, I'm going to introduce you to Ruth at ZCMI. So this was the very first ZCMI ad that I did for Ruth.
Yeah.
And
you haven't changed very much.
No, not at all. And then I remember, I actually shot with there's another one, but there was so much print work back there for magazines. And at that time, you really had a whole industry. Then one of my old shots I just found, one of the first professional shots I did. Anyway, I think that, I think that's all, Daniel, right, of those fun shots. And no, but so you really did change the industry. So when you started the agency, what made you decide you wanted to start a modeling agency? Just that you had been modeling and you wanted
No,
to
because I had modeled when I was living in Las Vegas. There were no agencies in Salt Lake, and Lee was with he was one of the top hand models in the country when he was with the New York Giants, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he looked like Gregory Peck, and he modeled a lot, and so I really got to know the business. And and like I said, Wilhelmina, she was there then, and she knew me. And when she came to Salt Lake City, I had my little white 1978 Bug convertible, and she was like 6 feet tall, and she'd sit in the back seat and put her legs and get into kind of a, with her arms around her knees and ride around in the Bug with me. And I mean, she was she was amazing, and I loved her. She was so down to earth, and she loved the models. She took a bunch of them, and so did Eileen Ford. But my experiences of what I learned from all of these people, but mainly, like I said, I was familiar with the business, and there was no agencies in Salt Lake.
That's right. So you started.
And I opened in 1974.
And you started today, the most successful talent agency in the city. And then
I know, still.
Yeah. And then
48 years.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And then people, though, too, you really did something different with the whole print industry. Tell people what you did with print as far as how that really changed because of you.
Well, in the beginning, Steve Wada, who for 30 years was one of the top photographers with Playboy. He did centerfolds, he did stories of, really famous people, he did covers, but he started in Salt Lake with me and Sharon Loya, who was the copywriter with CCMI, and we decided we were going to submit photos to ZCMI because they were doing all illustration, fashion illustration. And so for about 6 months, I think we made $150. Sharon was already on the payroll with ZCMI because she was doing copy. Stephen did the photography. I got the models, got the clothes, dressed them, posed them, and we started doing these ads, and we turned them into ZCMI, and they loved them. And I remember getting up like at 5 in the morning, going behind the Salt Lake Tribune building, waiting for the Sunday morning newspaper to see these ads. And I will tell you, I sent you a bunch of them. I don't know if you're going to show any of them,
Yeah.
but they could be in New York, they could be in Milan, they could be in Paris or whatever, because they are fabulous. But then all the other stores all joined in to doing photography. We had so much fashion photography work, it was unbelievable. But Steve Wada then applied to Playboy, and from doing the work here, and I would help him because he had to send in, you know, some really classy, beautiful nude models and what have you. And finding them in Salt Lake was not that easy, but I found him a few. And anyway, he was accepted to Playboy. And he was there right up until the time Hugh Hefner passed away. Yeah.
Well, and you really created that industry. And I mean, to change from instead of illustrations to using models, I mean, you gave everybody work, and it really changed how people viewed that. And of course, you were the only one doing runway shows. You were the only one doing that. And then when the movies came in, you were really the agency to go to for television and movies.
Yeah, we have wonderful. I always said that I could never take the credit. I can take the credit for what I did, but I could have never have done it without the incredible talent that we had in the acting, in our youth, our young actors and models, and with our models. I would put my models at the time up against anyone. And the sad thing right now is that, you know, everybody is running around in their Levi's and t-shirts, and I do the same. You know, I'm out in the garden, so I'm in rubber boots and Levi's and what have you. But, you know, the whole fashion industry outside of the major markets of Milano, Paris, you know, New York, everybody dresses very, very, very casual. And so all of our fashion stores sold, and all the runway, really great runway shows. Oh my God, I loved doing runway shows. Let everybody go down there and strut their stuff. And I have the best runway models anywhere as far as I'm concerned. But that all came to an end. But we were still doing a lot of work of voiceovers and industrials and educational film and what have you. And so we got through, COVID hit, and all of the bookers were in one room. So we decided we'd go to home offices, and that has paid off. We represent talent out of California, out of New York, all these places, because now so much is done with the media, you know, and with all of this great technology that we have. And we were making more money now than we've ever made booking talent. And they're, like I say, doing it from home. Michelle Hayden, Mitsu Miyashima, wonderful Joy Miyashima's daughter, and Benjamin and Marianne, who runs, you know, all the office work and that. And we are sorry, but we're kicking ass.
Well, I mean, Utah's become the place to film. I mean, it's been that way for a long time. I know all the Hallmark movies that were there and the television shows.
Yeah.
And I mean, it really is a place.
We still get Hallmark movies. We still do, you know. Yeah.
Oh,
but
right.
my first two clients, when I first opened in 1974, were ZCMI and a TV series called Grizzly Adams. So you figure.
Yeah, we know that one. We all remember that. Well, I want to show some pictures, Susie, and some of your ads. And I have a surprise. I've had some of your models and some of your dear friends give me a few memories. And so we're going to go down memory lane just for a minute here. First, I wanted to show, I love this photo of you. I mean, look at you, the model. Look how you're pictured. And you and Lee, what a beautiful photo of the two of you.
Yeah, that was when we got married, and we had our honeymoon in Las Vegas, believe it or not. But Lee like I say, he died last year, June 1st. It was a great, great, great loss for our family. He was an incredible human being, and he went through really hard times. he was all American. I mean, he could write. He's an actor. I mean, he's done tons of commercials. He's one of the top hand models in the country. But for 17 years, he was with the ABC as a broadcaster.
Right.
And and then he stayed on with Cal State up until, the day he died. But anyway, he's the father. He's the father of Kima McCarty and of Stephanie Grosscup, my children grandfather of Gabriel, Genevieve, Kamira, and Kiva. And I can't say enough good things about him. We always remained friends.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I just love the pose though, Susie. You look amazing. All right. The next picture is you and your two daughters. You were just talking about Keem and Stephanie.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful
picture. And our Kima, when you're looking at the photo, she would be on your left. Mm-hmm. And she was in Vogue magazine. She was modeling when she was 14. Extremely brilliant. She's too smart for her own good.
Yes.
I mean, she's beyond me. I mean, she's genius, smart, and she's the mother of my 4 children. And then Stephanie started in ice skating when she was 10 years old. We went up to Sun Valley, and here she is now. Well, I will give her age because she looks 35 and she's 60, but she has been all over the world. She has won competitions. She was senior world champion. She was has done choreography for Chen, who's the Olympic and the national. Yeah, he was. I think. Yeah, he'll be in the Olympics this year, but he's been national champion world champion for 3 years. But she's in Sun Valley, and her choreography and her coaching, and she's amazing.
Oh, you have wonderful daughters. You have beautiful daughters. Pardon? Yeah, I see you have beautiful daughters, and then Stephanie, you see her on Facebook, pictures of her and Nathan Chen and all of her students. And I mean, obviously you're very proud of them.
Nathan Chen, right.
Lovely.
Yeah. But they're both. I know people expect their parents to say they got the best kids in the whole world, but as far as I'm concerned, that's the truth, and I'm sticking with my story.
Anyway, so this is one of the McCarty covers. I mean, again, you really have the best models, and still, I think today, some of the best in the nation, really, like you say, some in the world. And now, next photo.
This is a Steve Waiter photo. Yeah.
Oh,
This is Steve Waiter photo out at the Great Salt Lake. Michelle Chaney, William Spencer, the models. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, even the photographers you have. So this is just, I love this. It's so very 80s, but you can see just the caliber of these beautiful women that you were repping back then.
Yeah. And these girls, Sherry Franks on the far left, and then Darl Chris, the brunette.
Yeah.
And Julie Simper. Yeah. And Chantal and Susie Dickerson, some of my top models, but they modeled all the time in the cabaret shows at the Hilton.
Oh, absolutely. I knew them well. And then the next.
And that's me in the back there.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So
and Darl,
I have some pictures of these. And you know what? I actually talked to Darl yesterday. I did. I said, I'm going to be talking to Susie tomorrow. So of course we chatted about you, but I just want to give you a quote from Darl. She said that Susie was my mentor. She provided a place for people finding their way that was safe, and she helped me tremendously and helped me feel safe. And I think that's so true, Susie. When you hear about modeling and modeling agencies, so often you hear about these horror stories, but you created this environment for all of us that it was a family, and we actually felt safe with you. And a lot of these you forget. We're all like 18, 19, 20 years old. We're going through all kinds of things and finding ourselves. And as Darl said, you really created a safe environment. She was, again, one of the top models, and absolutely beautiful woman. And she said, by the way, she wanted me to ask you about playing strip poker on the phone or on the train to Las Vegas with her. Is there anything you'd like to add about that, Susie?
Oh yeah, we yeah. Listen, I am a very diverse. I like diversity. I like the characters. They add so much color to your life. I have been so blessed with the people in my life, but I just want to interject this one little thing. My brother Barry, who was closest to me, there are 6 of us. He died several years ago. But my mother was in an automobile accident when she was 6 months pregnant with him. And so he was born with, some mental problems and what have you, but nothing so serious that he didn't have a life. But as a kid, kids will tease you. I'd be throwing rocks and chasing him and following and skinning my knees and sticking up for him. And I developed at a very young age empathy. And so there are a lot of people that have empathy, but I don't know how many people have true empathy, where you can look at somebody that you think you'd never talk to or never want to run around with, but you take the time to get to know them, you listen to their story, and they become one of your best friends. And I have always, always, always been for the underdog. And it is so important because of my models and my actors and everything. I would always find something that I thought was really special about them. And my grandmother that raised me on the farm, and my Aunt Bessie, my mother's older sister, loved and adored me. And no matter what happened, because it was in my young years of them saying I was special, and they would point out my good characters and they would love me. But they gave me a sense of my self-worth. And I remember that, and going through it with my brother, I wanted to give that back to people and to make them feel that, and especially when we were going through all the AIDS and all the horrible stuff with gay people, and I'm sorry, but people are really missing out when they put the blinders on and, the white nationalists, whatever. But when you don't open up your life to the diversity that is on this planet that makes it worth living, and bring people into your life that you probably never would. And I just, like I say, I could never have done with this agency what we have done without these wonderful models and actors and my staff. Michelle Hayden has been with me for 25, 26
Oh, absolutely.
years.
I love Michelle.
Benjamin Dillon, Mitsu Miyashima, and Marianne right now is our staff, all working out of home. And I couldn't ever do it without them.
No,
Never.
it's like a family.
Never.
We've always kind of been a family. Anyway, that was the beautiful Darl, who again sends you her love. And the next slide, we have, of course, our Varner, as we called her, our Deborah Varner, who really was one of your top girls. And I mean, she was so stunningly beautiful. And I talked to Deborah.
And she still is. She
they all are. I know. They are.
She's one of my best friends.
Yeah, and I talked to Deborah yesterday. And so I said, so Deborah, let's talk about Susie. And of course we did for, an hour. But she said that Susie taught me how to be a model. She said she taught me everything. She taught me how to walk the runway, how to pose, how to model, how to deal in the business, how to have confidence, how to feel good about myself. She was my family. And I think, Susie, that says a lot for you, though, because again, you really, when you took somebody on, you really created them. I mean, you helped them. You really taught them what they needed to know, because you took this girl who I know came in as just a shy, 17, 18 year old, and turned her into one of the world's top models, really. And she said
Deborah was so shy and that, but I could just see this diamond in the rough. And I called Steve Wada and I said, Steve, you got to see this incredible girl. And she took off, and then, she left, and, she modeled in LA and what have you. And she's back here now, but she's one of my very, 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 very best friends. Yes. A lot of these girls are in their 60s now. I'm in my 80s, and they are like my family, a lot of them,
I know, and you don't hear that often.
Chantal Hyatt calls me her wild model mama.
Well, and you don't hear that often. We've all had agents, and not often do you become this closeness and this family after so many years. And she said at some point that you need to tell us about when you all went to Las Vegas and had bright colored wigs on. So that's another story that you and I will have to...
I'm not going there.
So anyway, okay, I have one more that I want to tell you a little bit about. Next is, of course, our gorgeous Sherry Franks. Oh, and I still think of her Sherry Franks Burns, but of course it's not Sherry Franks Burns anymore. It's Sherry Franks Hansen.
No, Sherry Hansen, yeah.
But again,
But
beautiful
she is
top
an
model.
absolute gem. She is, you know, models are supposed to be, you know, 5'8", 5'9", well now 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet tall. And her husband at the time was Bobby Burns, and he invented the ski, and he did a lot of his own clothing and everything. And so she had a great in photography and what have you. But she was so fabulous in the Hilton shows. And to this day, I mean, I feel like a second mother to her. I just adore her. I adore her.
I know you do. And I talked to Sherry. Here's another photo of her too that was, you know, I mean, come on. Sherry.
Yeah, that's, hey, folks. This is Salt Lake City, Utah.
And so, Susie, Sherry, here's what she has to say about it. I just wanted to share because I thought it was pretty special. I think it kind of sums up what so many of us feel. But she said, Susie McCarty has been my dearest friend for 40 plus years, my mama, my angel, my mentor, my role model, and my sister and mister. How I adore this woman. Now, who else can say that about their agent? Seriously. Susie was the most important role model in my adult life. After graduating college and thinking I had my career path all figured out, I met this gorgeous woman with her own business. She wrote her own rules, chose her own lovers, started her own very successful business, and took no prisoners. She took Salt Lake City by storm and started a business that was non-existent in the 1970s and 80s. I was floored by her moxie, and in the moment I met her, I made a decision that changed my life forever. Modeling it was for me. I wanted to be around this force of nature by the name of Susie McCarty. I wanted to write my own rules, and so it goes. What a life I have led. Seriously, truly incredible. What fun we all had. My world is a better world having met and known you, Susie. I will love you forever. And the stories, the parties, the shenanigans that went on, well, it's safe to say that those stories are safe with me because my lips are sealed. So anyway, and I could have, you know, I could have called, and I stay in touch with so many.
Oh, thank you, Sherry. Thank you.
They're just amazing. We stayed friends, so many of us, all these years from that. It was really kind of a golden, amazing era, I guess you could call it.
You know, I want to interrupt just for a minute here. We had some of the best male models. I mean, they were incredible. And yeah, a lot of them were gay, but I loved them and I cared about them and I believed in them and I put them on the runway, do these big shows at Kingsbury Hall and at Bravenel Hall and what have you. And they blossomed, they bloomed. I mean, they brought so much character and fun, and they were so happy that there was somebody that exposed them, you know, on the runway, in newspaper, on commercials, what have you. And I had some of the top male models in the country, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. And it was a place to go and it was a place to work. You were the only one doing fashion shows. We used to do, if you remember, those Monday night male fashion shows, and there was nothing like that. They used to travel around and we would go to different nightclubs and different places and we'd do those great shows. And it was like a life most of us had never had. I remember you had a furrier once do a show. We're all wearing these furs and it was like, here we are 20 years old wearing furs in this audience. And I mean, it was a life that none of us, you know, and some of us continued on, some didn't, but it was a great experience. In fact, you know who's my neighbor is Ryan Locke, who's another male model that you started out that had a great career. And I mean, you really started so many of us. And so we're so appreciative. Daniel,
and with our actors, because we had Touched by an Angel and some really incredible, we had like 3 major TV series. And so our actors were really getting work, and a lot of them started here, built the resume, got their SAG card, and went to LA. So we launched a lot of actors also.
Well, and that you always believed in people. I mean, you got my mom and dad started when they're in their 70s, and that's something I talked about in the lectures. I say you're never too old to be an actor, do what you want to do, be a model, you know what I mean? It's just, and I mean, you kind of fought that whole ageism and discrimination before it was even an issue. You would hire people at any age for all different things, and that's what made McCarty's such a safe and wonderful place for us all. Daniel, there's another photo here I wanted to show. Oh, this was a great ad I had to show Susie, you with you.
Oh, I love this photo because the name of our cabaret show is called Bottoms Up.
Yes.
And when you look at each of these bottoms and these gorgeous legs, it looks like all the same person. But there's these top girls that were in the fashion shows. I couldn't point out who's who because their legs all look the same.
Right.
But I love this ad for our cabaret show. And it was called
a place
Bottoms Up.
It was the place to be on a Tuesday or Thursday night in Salt Lake City. Next photo, I think, is just showing some of the work. And I mean, look at of course, we look at it, it's very 80s. Yeah. But it's still the best of the best. Some of this work, Susie, is so impressive. Next, I think I just have a couple here I was going to show.
Yeah, that was Julie Simper. Julie Simper was one of the most beautiful, one of the funniest, hilarious women, and her modeling was beyond. And then the story, there's a story, that was Deborah McFarlane, William Spencer. I can't tell quite for sure with the glasses, that looks like Rudy again. And oh my God, my age is creeping in. And our mail, this was an ad for Stevens and Brown. Remember Stevens and Brown?
Sure.
They were in Sugar House, and
yep.
A sportswear company. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, what you did and how you changed the whole face of the industry. I think there's another shot, Daniel, or I may be mistaken. I forget. Let's see what we have next.
I think that's the last of these, or maybe another one of Susie next.
Oh, Susie, let's just show. I just want to ask about this photo. I mean, look at this. I mean, this has to be one of my favorite photos of you. And I think, I know you don't consider yourself a legend. You're a farm girl.
No, I don't. I consider myself somebody who's planting flowers in the dirt, loving bugs and wildlife, and my children and my family and my friends.
But this is a part of you too that I think you can't deny, which is really beautiful. I mean, what you did for the industry and how beautiful you were. There's one more, Susan. I want to ask you about this photo. Oh, well, I just had to show this because you're home at Christmas time, and there you are with Gizzy.
Oh, my Gizzy boy, I'll start crying.
Nope.
I've always had dogs, always, and cats. I just love animals, and
I know
he was at my age. He was my last doggy, and it was just I lost him on February 18th of not this year, but last year, right in the beginning of COVID. He died. Yeah.
Oh, I know, and he was a beautiful dog. But look at your tree. I just always think of your home at Christmas time too. I love this shot of you because it's just such a happy place, and for those of us that didn't have happy places, and especially at the holidays, you always created that space, and your home at the holidays is so wonderful. And I want you to tell me about this picture. What is this picture? I love this picture. I know nothing about it, but I just have to put it up.
Listen, this photo, I have two paintings in my home, and James Kirkland is the artist, and he's probably one of the most phenomenal artists. And it was when my mother and dad were both old, and I was helping run the agency and trying to take care of them. And he came by and he said, "Come, I want to get this photo because I want to do a painting." I said, "James, I can't go." He said, "That ethereal kind of dressing, just go grab it. It'll only take a few minutes." And I said, "Well, let's just go up. I'll get in the creek in Emigration Canyon." Well, anyway, we ended up before the White Barn in Park City, out in that big meadow and the stream. And I've got a robe on. It's Sunday morning, traffic like crazy, crawling through barbed wire fences to get to the creek. And I said, "James?" And he said, "Just shut up and get in the water." So anyway, I had the dress on, and this side of the water, it was warm. It was in August, and like I said, I was stressed out. And I went over by the far bank, and it was about 3 feet deep, enough, to float in. And I laid down and it was like having my soul cleaned. My heart was cleaned, my whole everything. And I said, "James, just leave me here. Just leave me here." And so he's taking photos because I have two of the paintings in my home done by James Kirkland. And the dress, as you can see, was sort of see-through and everything. All of a sudden, I didn't see it, but I could hear him laughing, and a trout was coming up and he wasn't quite sure what it was, and nipped me right on my bum, you know, and I came flying up out of the water. But anyway, yeah, and I love this. Whenever I really want to feel at peace and that I know everything is going to be okay, I have so much gratitude, Bill. And I go to sleep at night and think of happy things. And let me tell them about you. You are one of the most remarkable young men I know. I watched you for years taking care of your mother. And I wish every older woman, mama who has kids and everything, a son like you. Your mother, I mean, first off, she was just dynamite in her own role, and she was funny, and she could sing, and she loved to entertain, and she loved to talk. And you would have her nails done. She'd be perfectly coiffed in the most clothes, and even in a wheelchair. You and Gary would, every time we go out to dinner, your mom would come with us, and I just loved your mother, and I just learned. I have so much respect for you, the way that you took care of your mom. Unbelievable, really fabulous.
Thank you. That and I wouldn't had it no other way. You know that, so it was probably one of the best parts of my life. It's funny you were talking about that photo shoot, because it reminded me. People say, I get the question all the time, well, modeling is so glamorous, and what an exciting and glamorous life you have. And I say, yeah, it is glamorous, it is exciting, but there's a whole other side to it. It reminds me, once we did a fashion show at the Hogle Zoo. And I remember
yes, I remember.
Do you remember that? And I thought this is one of the first shows I did. I thought, oh, I've made it. I'm a model. This is also going to be so exciting. And I remember I got to the zoo, and there was like a van, and that was our dressing room. And so there were 8 girls and 6 guys who were dressing in this van behind the elephant cage. And then we walked.
Yeah, do you remember who our audience was?
I blocked that out. I don't remember. Who was our audience?
The elephants. They all came over. They were attracted to the music, and their trunks were swaying back and forth, and they were, just going back, one front foot over to the other front foot, and they stayed there for the whole show.
They did. I remember that. But then, so we did all kinds of shows. But then the next day, you'd have us do a Vogue show. I mean, I remember Vogue used to come through Salt Lake City and book your models.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Hey, I've got to ask you a couple questions, and then we're going to talk about something else here just for a moment. Thank you so much for this, Susie. This is just making me so happy. Thank you. So these are just a couple questions I ask all my guests just to get to know a little bit more about you personally. So if you can just give us a quick response, I would appreciate it. How's that? Ready?
Okay, as long as it's not names and dates, because my mind isn't quite as sharp as it used to be.
Yeah. Paul Revere, in what year? No, nothing. They're going to be very easy. How about this? What time did you wake up this morning?
5 o'clock.
You're a morning person or an evening person?
So.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
What did you have for breakfast?
Oh my God. I had some watermelon, and I had a fabulous blueberry muffin from Sprouts. It was full of blueberries.
What's your favorite color?
Oh my God. Like I say, I love diversity. I don't have a favorite color. And I wear a lot of black, but it's just because I have a lot of dogs and cats and what have you. And, I have a zoo in the backyard, but it's not my favorite color. And I can't tell you, I really don't have, I love so many colors. I don't have a favorite color.
Good answer. How about this? Do you have a favorite movie that makes you feel happy to watch?
Oh my God. The very first movie I ever saw was Snow White.
You bet. There's nothing wrong with that. How about, now this is another hard one, because you are a woman that lives life to the fullest. So these questions are kind of difficult. What's your favorite food? Do you have a favorite food, Susie?
Probably mashed potatoes.
That's right. How about a least favorite food?
Well, if I have a least favorite food, I don't eat it, so I don't know what it is. My least favorite, well, I don't like a lot of sugar. I don't like sugary things.
Right, right. What's your spirit animal?
Wolves.
I knew that. I absolutely knew that. Is there a place you want to visit that you haven't visited?
Yeah, I like the whole world.
Well, we won't talk about our fear of flying, right?
Yeah, no, because I have no fears, but I do have fear of flying. Don't ask me, but I've flown, but I don't like it.
Right. How about your best memory about living on a farm?
Oh my God, the best memory of living, probably my grandmother, growing up with my grandmother. She gave me total sense of self-confidence and everything, but she was from Holland and she was very liberal. She'd have her cocktail, I mean, she and Grandpa during the war would send the kids to church, but they'd stay home and have their cigarettes and their cup of coffee. But she loved to dance, and she'd go out and cut a head off of a chicken in the morning in her boots and coveralls, come in, clean up, and I'd watch through her bedroom door when she'd put her hair in those great 40 rolls, and the whole bit, and get on the Bamberger, which is now comparable to Trax, go into Keith O'Brien's and work in fashion on the 3rd floor, come home, get back in the coveralls, everything, quick dinner for all of us, and we had a formal dining room on the farm with her best linen, her china, and everything, and we'd have full-on dinner every night. Yeah, my grandmother, she was amazing, and she went through horrible, horrible, horrible things in her life, but she always had an up for energy, always loving, always caring, always taking care of everybody. But of course, my favorite thing next to my grandmother on the farm were the animals. I just love animals. Yeah.
I know you have a great love for animals. What is your cup? 3 more questions. What's your favorite flower? Is that a hard one too?
Yeah, I love flowers. I don't have a favorite. I love the smell of the gardenia. I love certain smells, but there's it would be like, who is the most beautiful person? I couldn't do that. I've been around beautiful people, and you want to know something, Bill? The most beautiful people to me. I have friends from, every walk of life that you can imagine. And what is beautiful to me is their spirit, their kindness, their compassion. They're just, it doesn't matter whether they're poor or rich or something, as long as they are creative and what have you. And talking about that, here I am, I'm 83, and 2 years ago, and I've had married twice, never had a chance to really talk about Ray McCarty. Ray McCarty was the most incredible artist, and he was a great father to my children. And I was married to him living in Las Vegas. We came here, Emigration Canyon. We opened up the beer joint and the cafe together. Ray McCarty was a treasure. And so then I'm challenged by anything that is a challenge. And I just sort of have a lot of men friends, a lot of my former boyfriends are friends. And a couple of years ago, I noticed Kima was getting some posts from a fellow, and I was reading his words, and I thought, oh my God. And I knew him from high school, but we were not like getting together all the time or anything. But anyway, I posted on something he said to Kima, and it cut to the, we started doing private messaging. And for about a year or so, or a half a year, we really got to know each other. I fell in love with his words. And I asked the universe, I said, universe, and this was before I met him, I said, universe, send me a really good man. And there's a lot of good men in my life, but I said, send me and so Ted and I have been together now for the last 2 years, and I am so blessed, and I am so thankful to have such an incredible partner in my life.
Oh, that's a great story. I mean, Susie, it is. It's just what inspires you? What inspires you?
Life. I love living, no matter how bad it is, the suffering that is going on in this world, the problems that we have to solve with climate change and racism and hate and all these things. But I choose happiness. I go to bed at night and I think about what happened to me today that made me happy. This is making me really happy. And I wake up in the morning and I am grateful. I am, even with everything, it's seeming like it's falling apart. I love life. I love living, and I love critters. I love animals. I love my children. I love you. I love my friends. Love is a big word, and it can encompass so many things, you know. And don't ever give up on your childhood dreams. Don't ever give up on your childhood dreams.
Oh, that's so true. Oh, that's so true, Susie. Well, here's what I want to do now. You just sit and relax for just a moment, my love, because I have to talk about an eyelash. So you just get to sit and relax, because I promise.
I'm gonna sit back and take it all in.
Oh, okay.
I know, and just want to let you, we're coming up on time, just to let you know here, William, as well too. So just want to just make sure we're on there as well.
You know what, Daniel, I'd like to do? How about we'll do, I'm going to talk about our Wonder Lashes at another time, just because we're running so short on time, and I've got them up on the website. My clients are knowing about them. If you all want to know about the Wonder Lash, go to billysblues.com, email me, talk to me, but they're available. But I just don't want to take any time away from you or from Susie. So Daniel, do you have any questions of this remarkable woman? I mean, are you in love with her like I am?
I have just been back here just reveling in all these stories, and I feel like I need an entire 4 days to just kind of hang out and really get the good stuff that wasn't on there too. So
there's lots and lots of good stuff.
We're gonna have to have another show, William. I think this is there's too much here.
I would love to do that. Well, what I'd like to do is no, I'm next Wednesday, I'm not back, but we're going to post our next Wednesdays with William. So again, sign up for the email. We'll have it on Facebook. But Susie, I can't believe how fast this has gone by. Will you come back and play with us again?
Honey, I would do anything for you because I love you so much. Oh. And for those who think I'm, catching up to you, you know me well enough that I never do that, you know. You are a remarkable person. I am so happy to have been on and invited on your show. I thank you. I thank you for who you are. And I thank you for all the help that you give so many people. You are amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. So Daniel, thank you so much. So I guess we're going to
end. Of course.
And I will just say until next time, everybody, Daniel, thank you. Susie, I love you. And everyone be happy, be healthy, and be beautiful.
Thank you so much, everybody. And William, you know what? We'll talk about the lashes, and we can even put those on our YouTube videos. So we can, when it gets posted on Facebook, we can find another time to add that to this. So we'll make sure we get it all in.
Oh, of course we will. I mean, they're wonderful and they're exciting, and I'm so thrilled with them, and I love them. But like I said, I know we just
and listen, go be creative and be happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All righty, everybody.
All righty,
well, thank you again. All right. Bye-bye.